You have already written in the fantasy genre, right? But now you're writing in this other genre which nobody knows about. Nobody has a clue about it, what's happening here. So briefly, could you set some perspective about this genre first?
So I call it quantum mythology. It's a storytelling framework that I figured would fall within one of the subgenres of science fantasy, which is a subgenre of either science fiction or fantasy, whichever way you are. While science fiction itself looks at science or looks to the future or science facts. Now, I'm trying to bridge these two with what I call as quantum mythology. I thought that I should bring in with the Gudem Experiment. And it's been a wonderful experience. I mean, I really enjoyed it. Fantasy is something that I'm crazy about. But the basis of the book is what I call the erased reality. For this entire book to have been a success, the erased reality first I had to set. See, this Sutram has been inspired by many scientific facts that scientists have discovered, which is actually attracting everything in the universe, or the known universe as we know it.
That's the one in Europe that they...
This God matter is something that is in the universe. It is drawing everything together. And and we feel that it is what is pulling galaxies closer to each other.
Podcast, and you'll find n number of things. Everybody's talking about everything. There is no logic behind it, nothing. What I loved about the book was that it is all science-backed, but you're connecting it to the Vedas. So, a lot of people say that the technology was such. These are blanket statements which people make, right? That the Vedas, during the Vedas, or in the early years of our civilization, the science was very sophisticated and all of that. You have kind of hinting that ancient scriptures, predicted quantum mechanics.
Now, when you talk about Maya, what people readily relate to Maya is that but Maya is not illusion. Maya is construct, the construct in which you are living. But the colors that the birds see and the colors that the humans see are completely different. Birds see 100 billion variations of the colors. And after you remove the 100 million or 101 million variations that we have, the 99 million variation of colors we don't even know exist. I'm going to sharpen with the way I write and the way I present. And I'm going to a market which is also where there is a lot more fantasy readers or science fantasy readers that there are in other geographies.
Hello, book nerds. Welcome to the Booknerds Podcast. Today, the book that we are going to discuss is called The Gudem Experiment, and I've been reading it on my Kindle. I don't know if you can see it, but very interesting cover and a very out-of-the-box book. I had a ball talking to the author. His name is Vadhan. He has written previously in the fantasy genre, and I've loved his previous books as well, including the Song of the Trinity. And but this time around he has kind of created a subgenre, and it's called quantum mythology, which was very interesting for me because mythology intrigues me. So I talked to the author on this podcast about several things, including what is this new genre called quantum mythology? Is it in any way influenced by Vedic civilization? We talked about that. We also talked about how this genre is different from sci-fi or fantasy per se. We talked about what is Maya. Is it just an illusion or it is a construct? Many other things. I mean, it was an intriguing episode, absolutely fabulous. And I know that you're going to have fun with this. So do watch the episode and let me know how you liked it. This is quite an experimental episode and not for everybody, to be honest, but whomsoever is, fascinated by our mythology and is fascinated by quantum physics, science, all of that. It's a mix of a whole lot of genres and super interesting. So let me know in the comments if you like this episode, and do read the book. It is available on Amazon, and go on and watch the episode. Hello, book nerds. Welcome to the Booknerds Podcast. We have a very accomplished author with us today, and we are going to discuss about a topic which is very dear to me. I believe that I love science, so we are going to talk about that, and I love mythology. So it's going to be a great combination, and many other things as well. We are going to talk about briefly about philosophy as well, which is going to be super interesting. The author's name is Vadhan. He has written multiple books in the past in other genres, but he's now experimenting a lot. So we are super excited for that. The book is called The Gudem Experiment. It's right here. I have the Kindle copy because, I think he has kept the paperbacks for the US market. I'm not very happy about it, but
It's going to come to India as well.
it's going to come. Okay. I thought that you were neglecting us altogether.
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
But, had a ball reading this book. Totally in my alley because I love everything enigmatic in the world. So that was super crazy. The entire book, it was a lot of fun. But my first question is, because you've already written in the fantasy genre, right? But now you're writing in this other genre which nobody knows about. Nobody has a clue about it, what's happening here. So briefly, could you set some perspective about this genre first so that the reader, especially your listeners, get to know about this a little bit?
So I call it, and this is something that, I kind of figured out. I call it quantum mythology. Right? It's a storytelling framework that I figured would fall within one of the subgenres of science fantasy, which is a subgenre of either science fiction or fantasy, whichever way you want. Right? It explores ancient myths through ideas inspired by modern quantum science, and it also asks what happens when humanity's oldest philosophical traditions, philosophical treasures meet its latest, newest scientific ideas. Right? Is there a match? The other thing I'm looking at is, listen, I am not going to pitch, right, the ancient ideas against the new ideas. I am going to see how much they synchronize with each other and how much they'll throw light on each other, right? And I call it quantum mythology or quantum mythology. Basically, what happens is that most of fantasy in today's world, as we know it, in the Western world, is based on medieval European or classical Western mythological themes, whether it is Greek or Egyptian, etc. While science fiction itself looks at science or looks to the future or science facts as the basis or the foundation for its work. Now, I'm trying to bridge these two with what I call as quantum mythology, right? Where I bring in those philosophical considerations and kind of dovetail them into quantum science to see if how much of those philosophies which are ancient, which are very, very intelligent, right, actually make sense from a scientific lens, right, or a future science lens, or if you want to call it a fringe science lens, right? And because I am from India, I'd like to choose from the Indian philosophical perspective. And it doesn't mean that it is only restricted to Indian philosophical perspectives. It's also, it's universal. And the whole point is not to pit one against the other, but to see how much light they throw into it. So that is the kind of genre that I thought that I should bring in with the Gudem Experiment. And it's been a wonderful experience. I mean, I really enjoyed it. Fantasy is something that I'm crazy about. But to actually balance that and to bring it forward was a task, but it was a very enjoyable challenge. Where?
Okay, great. I was reading the book, and of course, the should I say the canvas of the book is so big. One has to really keep up, and the narrative is also changing. The POV is changing all the time. Like one moment we are with Sheila, and the other moment we are with Diya, and the locations are also changing, and the timelines are also changing. So, can you paint us a picture of what went in your head, especially your mind map, looking at this? Because it's difficult to put it all together on paper. I mean, one can imagine it. A lot of people imagine a lot of stuff, right? But writing it on paper and the edits, all those things, can you take us through that? And then we'll get into the fun stuff as well.
So, the basis of the book is what I call the erased reality in the book. Right? The erased reality, or what Sheila calls the other life. Right? Now, for this entire book to have been a success, the erased reality, first I had to set that right. I had to get those facts straight. Right? Because the erased reality does not completely, showcase itself or show itself, but you are only taking fragments of it in the story. Right? Now, this erased reality has impacted different people, and they have had different outcomes out of that. Most of them tragic now. Right? Now, when I look at giving a POV from Sheila's perspective, it is based on her understanding of what went through. Right? Diya's is much more of a experimentation and a learning exercise, because she's only 9 years old. Right? She hasn't really experienced the erased reality, though she's a product of that. Right? Now, if you're looking at Colonel Kishan Kant, he is also part of the erased reality, but his reality, how it impacted him, was completely different. Right? His memories are different of that erased reality. The last, probably the person who realizes everything at one juncture is Raghu Surya. And his approach to that erased reality is very different. He comes from his pain points. Right? He has his own pain points in terms of his relationship with his father. So therefore, all of these are important for you to understand why the characters are acting the way they are acting. Same for even the villains. If you look at it, the tantric, and the way the erased reality impacts him. He is the sutradhar, even in the erased reality and even in the living reality, as we call it, right? And his perspectives matter, right? And then there is Govind Kiromal, who is being completely manipulated left, right, and center. So each of their, and he's completely till the end. I don't think he believes anything, but he's still, he's pushed by greed. So every one of their things matter, and they are important, and therefore it came to me that I realized that if I give it only from a person's perspective, the story will be extremely incomplete. The character arcs will be definitely be incomplete. People won't know what they are doing and why they are doing what they are doing, and the readers. So therefore it was important that I should flesh it out and give the readers the idea of what exactly these guys are dealing with. And that's how this different POV approach came into being.
I'm glad you did, because all those concepts together would have been quite, complicated for most readers. And I'm glad you did. It was very slow. And even, up till say,
Pretty slow reading. There are two things.
no. See, I used to believe that, speed reading is some power, and if I wield it, I'll be this great mythical creature. It doesn't work like that. I love to take it slow. I just want to understand everything rather than just skim over it. So it's just that I've gone from a fast reader, trying to be a fast reader, to a very slow reader. I'm just chilling with it. So and most of the readers I meet through my community, they are like that. They're like, okay, it's fine. If I don't like the narrative for a bit, I'll just keep it down and then come back to it when I'm in the mood. So there is no pressure. So it's wonderful that way, I believe. So just a reader's perspective.
Of course.
Yeah. But we would love to kind of define the Sutram, which is at the center of everything, right? And this is the most fascinating thing, and just got goosebumps talking about it, because if something like that exists, our listeners would also love to understand what's going on. This is the pivot around which everything is happening, and for everything that is happening.
So, see this. The Sutram has been inspired by many scientific facts, right? For example, the God matter that scientists have discovered, which is actually attracting everything in the universe, or the known universe as we know it.
That's the one in Europe that they...
The sun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sun.
No. So this God matter is something that is in the universe, at some central point, which is attracting all the galaxies towards it. Like, we really don't know what it is, because it is hidden behind something, etc., so forth. And it is drawing everything together, and and we feel that it is what is pulling galaxies closer to each other. At the same time, there is another force which is actually spreading out the galaxies. And there's another thought which says that at one point of time, millions of years away, hopefully, the galaxies will become so thinned out that the night sky will be completely black without any stars, right? So that's another theory that's running. So, there are so many aspects in the universe that we are discovering today, which could be defined, as I defined in the book, as the great dangers, right? And one of those great dangers in the universe is the Sutram. Now, I also say in the book that the Sutram is a name that our Vedic masters gave it. Its original name is not something that its makers did. When you read the book, you'll know that. Right? The Sutram is something that, because of the way it is layered, the way it is structured, and that structure also I explain how it is structured, what it does, why it does it. Right? It's not some random force coming here just to swallow things up, and because it's got a bad day going. It does what it does for a particular purpose, right? And it has its own directives on what to do, and it has broken one of those directives, right? So, therefore, I am looking at all the things in the known universe that could completely tilt the balance, right? There is a thing saying that the entire law of physics can change in just seconds, because we are living in a vacuum of physical laws, which can collapse, changing the entire physics as we know it. That's a great danger. So I've looked at these, I've read all these, and then I've understood that, okay, you can factor these, and you can factor the Sutram as one of those great dangers that can impact you. And that's how the entire idea of Sutram came into being. Of course, it's a little gory. More than a little gory, but the whole point is that that's what it does. And that's how it grows.
It was gory, no doubt, but it was fine. I had fun, but because if it is not gory,
what's the deal?
Why? What's the point? It was amazing, and
I tried to make it more of a cerebral gore rather than a physical gore, because basically I think that's where the tension plays out. If it's a physical goal, axe or cutting people, then there's no big deal in that. So I tried to do that.
No, that would have. I mean, DC has tried that and failed. So let's not go there. I think that was a good choice you made. Okay, DC online week. You type podcast and you'll find n number of things. Everybody's talking about everything. There is no logic behind it. Nothing. What I loved about the book was that it is all science backed, but you're connecting it to the Vedas.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people say that the technology was such. These are not blanket statements which people make, right? That, the Vedas, during the Vedas, or, in the early years of our civilization,
Vedic period, yeah.
the science was very sophisticated and all of that. You have you're kind of hinting that ancient scriptures, predicted quantum mechanics. And so what do you have to say about that? And do readers need to know about quantum mechanics, the Heisenberg principle, and all of that to read this book? Because it's sometimes gets complicated if you really want it to be. I mean, if you're a science student, you might find that, you would be inquiring a lot more, perhaps. Because I was. So, your opinion on that?
Yeah, so listen, it's a thriller.
Okay.
I say that often in all the talks that I do, etc. and so forth, that I write to entertain. That is the primary mood, right? And by and entertainment also has to be a little impactful. Otherwise, there is no entertainment. Right. Now, if you want to dig in a little deeper, check out to see, hey, this guy is throwing a lot of stuff. Let's go, and dig and see whether he's talking sense or he's just saying whatever he pleases to say.
Amen.
So in that case, you can dig in to check this out, right? Scriptures. Let's talk about scriptures. When we talk about, so therefore, you don't need to know, to answer the second question first, you don't need to know quantum mechanics or quantum science for you to read the book. I tried to make the explanation as simple as possible. But if you want to dig a little deeper there's a lot of research that went into that. And you can dig in and you can learn, and it's very fascinating stuff. Very fascinating.
Are you going to put it on your website so that...
So there is a part of my website which is available only on subscription, which talks about which talks about my thoughts, which talks about unwritten chapters. It talks about I've written short stories. My research material would go in there, etc. So if you subscribe, then you can go through that. It's author.com. So I am in the process. I have there is a lot of stuff in it, and then I'm going to put in some more stuff in it. Basically, thoughts and research that went into creating this, like the thought that we just spoke about, in terms of the great details to that. So what made me think of that? All of that will come into that, or has come to the subscription and good. So that's a bit of for me.
Why I asked? Because I felt that you have held back a lot. In terms of, like you said, you didn't complicate it. So that's why I asked.
This is a book that has gone through so much of more than proofreading, more than grammatical. It has gone through a lot of editing in terms of looking at how can I read. This book actually was around about touched 1,200 words.
Okay.
Yeah, no, not 1,200. Yeah, around 1,000 words, and from there I have brought it down to around 600 words. Okay. Which means there is 400 words that have gone out of the manuscript.
Wow, that's a lot,
right? And if I had put those 4,000 words, it would have become a science thesis, I'm sure. But I didn't want that to happen. I wanted a book that people enjoy, and basically my muse, the man who made me choose writing as a passion, was Robert Ludlum, the guy who wrote the Born Identity, etc. His one book called The Matrix Circle which I read when I was 11 or 12, made me run a movie in my head. And then I realized that, listen, this is something that I'd left. That I could sit in one place, in a chair, in my house, on the veranda, open a book and actually see a movie. So that's what drives me to write movies, books which are very visual.
Right.
So my writing is very visual. I would like to think so. I don't know.
No, it is. It is quite correct. And it's because, and I love that because, when we are competing with the Netflixes of the world, I mean, it has to be a bit visual to kind of, sustain in terms of.
No. So the reader has to have that image in his mind, and that's important. And I think that's what I try to do.
So perhaps you could release a director's cut or something on the website or something like that. Maybe with everything, uncut version later, maybe.
Maybe later I'll do that. Maybe that's a great idea. Yeah.
I would pay for that. I would pay for that. Definitely.
Thank you.
So, my question was about the Vedic scriptures and
Yeah. So basically, let's take an example when you're talking about Vedic scriptures. Vedas talk about Maya and Satya, right? Now, when you talk about Maya, what people readily relate to Maya is that it is illusion. But Maya is not illusion. Maya is construct, the construct in which you are living. And there is a very simple example that I'd like to take to explain that construct, or what the construct is. Humans are what we call as trichromats. Trichromat means we have 3 cones with which we see 3 variations of colors: blue, green, and red. Right? And apparently, I haven't tested it myself, but apparently you can see around 1 million variations of blue, green, and red within the trichromat format that we have, through which we can see the world. Now, birds are tetrachromats, which means there are 4 chromats. There are 4 cones. And the 4th cone, what color it is, we have no idea about it. Right? So, birds and human beings, both of them live in the same physical world, our world. But the colors that the birds see and the colors that the humans see are completely different. Birds see 100 million variations of the colors. Now, and after you remove that 100 million or 1 million variations that we have, the 99 million variation of colors we don't even know exist. We don't know. Birds see them. We and the birds, there's a bird sitting on the tree. I am here. Same world. We are seeing different things. That's the construct. Right? Now, birds also see or also feel the magnetic field around the world. That's how they are able to navigate. They use the magnetic field around the earth to navigate year after year to the same location. They don't have Google Maps. So therefore, same world, us humans who consider ourselves to be very, very superior, don't know nuts about we can't feel the magnetic fields. We don't see colors that the birds can see, right? We live in a construct which is much more smaller visually than the birds, right? Now, which is real? That is the basic logic of Maya. We believe what we see is real. Birds believe what they see is real. 1,000 years ago, the scriptures answered this by saying that we only perceive a fragment of reality.
Wow.
What really exists and what we see is not the entirety of it, but only a fragment of it. And therefore, sitting inside that reality, you think you see everything and you draw conclusions based on what you see, and therefore you are living in a state of illusion, and that is Maya.
Wow.
Right? This is the very simple truth behind Maya and Satya. Satya is when you see everything all over the place. Right? Now, let us imagine a creature tomorrow which has 10 what do you call it, chromats instead of tetra or tri, just 10. Imagine Ravana, what he could see, right? So therefore he was a very learned man. 4 Vedas, 6 Shastras, right?
Yep.
Kailash ko hila diya. So therefore, what you're looking at is a vaster universe, a vaster physical world which has unlimited possibilities, and the Vedas and the ancient scriptures told that to us in a manner that we at that time could understand. Right? That's all there is to it. So it's a construct. It is not magic. Maya is not illusion. Maya is a construct.
I think even now 99% of the people just know that definition of Maya because it has been projected by popular culture, especially in India, like that of it. I mean, I know not many people have watched The Matrix or understood it at all.
Understood. Yeah, they like it, special effects.
Yeah, special effects are fine, kung fu is fine. I mean, but you need to watch it multiple times to really kind of get into the
Each time something new comes out, and that's a big deal.
Yeah, each time, every
Same with Mahabharata.
yeah, and it would be even now. Like I think I told you yesterday that I've been doing some podcasts on Mahabharata, that how whatever was happening, different episodes, different parvas. Every time there is something new, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how could that happen? So it's always like that, and that's how the book played out for me. It was like an onion, you take out one layer and another layer.
So,
It was like that for me.
I hope it didn't make eyes water though.
Yeah, absolutely not. Perhaps a very gory scene, but no, I've seen a lot, so it won't affect me. Another aspect of the book which was amazing for me was the 1971 and 2015 title, contrast. Everything is changing all the time, right? You are in 1971, the setting has to change. The character, how the character is behaving, that has to change. 2015, everything is changing again. It's almost like, I watched this series 2-3 years back, Dark. A lot of time travel is happening. You go into a cave and everything changes.
Just
You go into the wrong portal, everything changes, right? So tell us more about that experience, because have you done this before while writing? Like, have you played with that? Like time dilation and all of these things?
It's not really time dilation. It's more of time looping or time hopping. So, no, I don't think this is my first attempt at writing in different timelines at the same time, both of them running parallel to each other.
And you are doing multiple POVs, right?
And multiple POVs within that. Yeah. So
that's what was crazy, because either you do timelines or do multiple POVs. This is like both things are happening at the same time.
No, but I see. I believe, I don't know how much I will get validated, but I believe that the multiple POVs do not really impact the movement of the story. Neither do they impact the timeline in which they are happening. And right, there's only one person who is present in both timelines. Right. I don't want to say who it is, but yeah, correct. That's the one person who is present in both timelines.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why that person exists in the first place.
Right.
Right. So, the 1971, I did do some research, but let me be very honest. If you had read if you read the author's note and the dedication to that book, the dedication to that book, there's a character called the Extraordinary Cripple who comes in the 1971 timeline. I dedicate that character to my father, who's also a person who is similarly, who was an invalid, right? And the inspiration that he gave, who lived a very short life, but in spite of that, who inspired me throughout my life, and I've gone grey. So, pretty much, the automobile that the Raja uses, the temperament of the Raja, the intelligence quotient of the Raja is something that I had adopted by talking to a lot of people who were associated with my father, because I was only 3 months old when he passed away, so I have no memory of it. But there are a lot of people who still talk about him after all these years. So I gathered a lot of information about him, about what he did and what kind of a person he was, and that created that ambience and atmosphere around the castle, around everything else. Right. So that was something that I drew from personal experience.
Yeah.
Right. And of course, there's a place called Eluru, which comes in the book. Eluru also happens to be the town that my hometown, so that I did not have too much of a difficulty in picking out the stuff in Eluru, as it was in 1971, because I still have a vague memory of that.
Right.
Even after all.
Apparent though, it was quite apparent that this guy knows this area, because it was like I could totally visualize what's happening, the references, it was, I could figure out that, what you're, kind of writing.
So that helped with the 1971. But then there were a lot of other things that I added there just to create that, to create that wonder.
Right.
See, we've moved so much as a species, as a technological species from 1971, right? Things that we take for granted now. And there is one instance of that about the mobile phone that I talk about there. And I think that is one of the most favorite parts of the book, for me at least. It isn't very stunning, it isn't very visually impactful, etc. and so forth. But to me, it was a wonder to imagine. And I have talked about this. If you are, so just imagine you going to a medieval king from the Chola dynasty and giving him an RPG or giving him a UT submachine gun, something, or even giving him a mobile phone, something that is magic. So magic to me is a science that we don't know yet.
Right.
And I think that's how the realm of magical realism functions. That is actually a science.
Yeah.
Right? And when we actually step back in time and apply what we have today to that time, we understand that to what is to us just a device could be complete magic to those people. And you don't have to go too far. We just have to go up to the 80s or the 70s and those guys will be wondering, wow.
Yeah.
So that's what, those are the things that went in my mind when I was creating the 71 background.
It was amazing. And also at the core of the narrative is this relationship that's going on between Sheila, her daughter, 9-year-old daughter, Diya. And of course, there is Raghu, so it was quite complicated. Imagine being, conceived in one reality and being born in another one. That was a concept which was very interesting for me. Would you like to talk about this dynamic of this trio, or, these people who are entangled in this magical web?
So, the erased reality was something that I created as a concept before I started the book. and that and in the erased reality, Sheila is pregnant. And they want to kill her. And the reason for killing her also, which you read the book about that. And the experiment is conducted, right? And a certain set of events happen. As a result of which, this one person decides to, turn on the observer effect, right? And change reality itself, right? So, the entire reality that is changed, and Major Kishan also puts it very well when they are discussing the entire events that are happening in Hyderabad, is that only a set of few people are left behind with partial memory, so that they can do what they have to do. That is the entire purpose of creating or erasing a reality and creating a new one in its place, right? So what happens when you not only survive that reality, but you bring a life from there into this reality? And what happens, and how is that life going to be? What is that child going to be like? Because that child has, in her womb, moved through time. Yeah. Oh, wow. Right? Or where time itself is shifted to accommodate something that it is not the natural way of things. Right. So observer effect is a superpositioning of a variety of eventualities, and depending on which eventuality the observer chooses, that eventuality will take shape. That's the observer effect. Right. And it was an experiment conducted, saying that when particles become whatever. So this, if you actually translate that, and people should go and see what that observer effect is, and they should do a little bit of research. But if you actually apply that to a real world, what happens?
This effect was conducted by whom? The observer effect?
So there were several. Right now, it doesn't come to mind. It was so much of research that
No worries. You keep it in the caption. We'll keep it in the caption.
Yeah, which I'll tell you. I'll tell you where. I'll tell you. It's not suddenly coming to mind what it is, but the observer effects. What I remember is that it is a superpositioning of a set of eventualities that can happen, and depending on what you see or what observation is made, depending on what the observation is made, who the observer is, that particular eventuality comes into being.
That will be relevant.
Will become the reality.
Oh, it will become the reality. Okay. Got it. Another thing which I loved was that it's a very small detail, but I just wanted to mention it because it was a nice touch. Sheila moved to Gurugram for a new job and joined the CSIR. So that was very nice, because not enough people give credit to our organizations. They are doing a lot of work. Like I think around 40 odd laboratories in India.
Huge work. CSIR is bringing out so many innovations and so many inventions in the industrial space, in the technology space, that nobody really is looking on, and the erased reality has a lot more information about the CSIR work, which I have done. The research is there, and therefore when that comes out as the book, the erased reality will come out as a book.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So then the full picture of the erased reality the readers will be able to understand. So what Kant is going through, what he's recollecting, what Sheila is recollecting, will actually have happened in that book.
Yeah, because all these characters have a lot of trauma associated with that.
Yeah.
Even the
It,
Kant is a colonel, right? A retired
Kant's a
colonel.
colonel.
Huh.
Kant's a colonel, but in the erased reality, he was a major.
Oh, okay. I got confused because you said major and I was like, oh, I forgot completely. Yeah, so he took voluntary retirement because of all of that.
Yeah, because they thought that he had burnt out, that he had
Crazy.
post-traumatic disorder,
Yeah.
stress disorder. So which he didn't, but they thought he did, because he's suffering from memories which are real to him, but are not real to anybody else.
Right. That could result in people calling you crazy in the whole time thinking about. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to call anybody
Again,
crazy.
the construct, again, Maya, again, illusion,
Maya.
all of that kind of loops in.
Absolutely. In a time where, if you remember last year, there was this news about a comet that has entered our
Which is
space.
not really a comet, it's a spacecraft, whatever.
Yes. All of that speculation, it's even now it's in the solar system, right? And all of the
Past us,
discussion.
but yeah.
Yeah. And there were some people on the internet that there is who could travel to the so-called spaceship via astral travel, and all of that. What is your opinion on that, and where does that fit into your research? Did you come across something like that?
See, there is a concept in Indian literature about a person moving from one body to another body. Right? There is a terminology for it. I had used that terminology for another book, for the Song of the Trinity. Again, it doesn't suddenly come to mind. I guess it's because of the white beard. So if your soul can move from one body to another body. Ultimately, your soul can travel without a body also. That is astral travel. And yes, there are in the Song of the Trinity, which is a full-blown epic fantasy series.
Right.
Astral travel is something that I have contemplated. I've also brought it to. Do I believe that in today's world there can be astral travel? To quote Diya, reality is a perspective and perspectives change. So really you can't put anything past what can happen. Seriously, I mean, if you look at, and I'll give you an example. Sorry if I'm digressing a little, but we talk about immortality, right? And we say that there are 7 immortals. In fact, one of the 7 immortals is the hero of the Song of the Trinity, Ashwatthama.
Yeah.
But there is a far more scientific explanation to immortality, right? You are immortal in as much as your DNA is immortal, right? As long as you procreate and you pass on your DNA, mixing with the DNA of your partner, and more of you is only created, it live on. Your corporeal body may extinguish, but your DNA continues until such time that your bloodline ends. Right? Now, you can look at it from the point of view of saying that your soul is immortal, it can go out of one body and into another body. The body is merely a shell. And I completely accept that. Right? I also want to look at immortality by saying that, listen, you don't really die as long as you are procreating. And your DNA passes on. Through the DNA, or at a DNA level, you continue to live. So immortality is not something that we can't achieve. We've already achieved it by default.
Right.
When you are born, you are immortal. Right? At a DNA level. Your memories of this body, the memories of this mind and this brain may not be there, but openly be there, but you can always get it because it's part of your DNA, and it passes on to the next generation, right? And they become a little more skilled, and then their descendants become a little more skilled or unskilled, depending on on the DNA. So what the scriptures have said about all these things make a lot of sense if you apply it to the way to modern life, to the life that you are living, and if you apply modern science to it.
Great. There's this character called Rathayya. Right?
Rathayya.
Rathayya. I won't be able to.
Telugu is pronounced differently. Rathayya is fine. No big deal.
Just to.
I don't know. See, I have readers in the US reading this book. They must be pronouncing it as Rathayya. So it's absolutely fine. It's a proper name. I mean, it's absolutely fine.
Yes.
Yeah, it's absolutely fine.
This character is shown in one scene, and he unleashes a lot of power, right? And so tell us more about what is this character? How can he unleash this power, which can obliterate so many things? Can you elaborate on that?
So something happens when the experiment fails in 1971. And Rathayya is impacted by that. And how he gets impacted also is part of the book, the actual process through which he gets impacted. He becomes blind, right? But then the impact of that is that he gains some powers. The power to see beyond the construct. To see beyond the construct of reality as we understand it. And he sees things at a atomic level.
Wow.
Right? He doesn't see a room as it is, he doesn't see the bookshelf behind you as it is, he sees its atomic form.
Wow.
And he's able to communicate with the atoms. See, goes into the concept of quantum entanglement. Right? If you adopt or adapt the quantum entanglement theory, saying that something that impacts a particle at one place very far away from the other, it impacts the other also. Very simply put, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Right? If you actually apply that to, if it could happen to a human being, what happens is what Rathayya is. Right? Right? So as he says, he can speak to the atoms. And after he unleashes his power, he also says, sometimes the atoms listen to me.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was menacing and fun at the same time. Goodness, that was something. Like
And he has this signature half moon smile on him. And he says, sometimes the atoms listen to me. So
that is so nonchalant, right?
90-year-old man.
90-year-old, right? Yeah. I think he could be one of my favorite characters. Because he doesn't get that much space in the narrative, but there could be.
He's also the centrifugal space there. He's also holding everything together.
Yes, he's holding
2015 and 1971.
But the scene where he unleashes the power, that was I was dead. I was like, oh my god, what's happening? It was amazing. Cool. I think while you have talked about your inspirations, but since it's the Booknerds podcast, I have to ask you about a few recommendations, 2-3 recommendations. First of all, you read a lot in the fantasy, or you have been reading a lot about everything that you have written up in the book, but any recommendations around this as side reads, maybe?
For in terms of research or in terms of books?
Anything.
See, my research is all based on, it's very scattered, very random. Okay, so let me tell you something about myself as a writer. There are writers in this world who sit down, put everything on an Excel sheet, and they do that, of course. There are specific tools available on the net for them to actually create plots and plot structures, etc., and so forth. And I'm sure that it's very helpful for them to actually structure something and then convert that into a script. I don't think I can ever do that even if I tried. I am an intuitive writer. When I start writing, I only know that what my end is going to be. Everything else is as the book goes. I write chapter by chapter, and and every chapter I don't write one chapter which is outside the scope at all. I do 1, 2, 3, 4. I write like that, flowing from the other.
Right.
So my research, the point I'm trying to make is that my research is at a point when I need inspiration, I need information, I need knowledge, sometimes wisdom, to take the story forward. That's when I stop and I start doing research on whatever topic I get stuck at.
Got it.
Right? So my research could be research papers, certain research papers available on the net, right? Or even popular theories, sometimes which are kind of outworldish, outlandish. It could be the Vedas, for example. The Yajur Veda plays a huge part in the Gudem Experiment. Agni Rekaksarena Vakum Ut Ajayat. Agni with one syllable, one sound. That is the one line that actually inspired this book, if you ask me. Right? That one line made me write 467 pages of a story. And that is the power that the Indian literature has got in terms of inspiration. Agni with one syllable, one sound. Right?
And it is so important to the entire narrative. It is
Entire
everything.
narrative depends on it.
It is everything.
The story depends on that one particular line. It's called the incantation of victory in the Black Yajur Veda. So yes, I've read the Yajur Veda. I've read little pieces of Yajur Veda. I've read Mahabharata. I've read Bhagavad Gita. I have read Ramayana. I have read Rig Veda. I read. But again, my reading of Rig Veda is not for the reading of Rig Veda. If I start reading Rig Veda, then I'll have to go to some place and kind of they take you to a different level of reality, a different level of life. So based on, for example, I wrote a book called the Vimana Transcripts.
Yes.
There is an entire set of material in the Rig Veda about Vimanas. Not only that, there's information of the fusion fuel of fire and water that runs the Vimana. The mechanics of a Vimana in the Rig Veda. So Vimana was not a flight of fancy. Actually, flight of fancy. It's real. So depending on what my topic is, depending on where I get stuck at, or depending on what information I want, I pull out research from various parts and I read. I read books, fantasy, right? Patrick Raffles, or my favorite right now is J. Christoph. J. Christoph is this guy. I mean, again, he's a bestseller, obviously, and he's written it's called The Empire of the Vampire. When I first read the title, I didn't like it. It was a little cheesy. But my God, that man kept right. I mean, I relished. There are 3 books: Empire of Vampire, Empire of the Damned, and Empire of Dawn. 3 books. The way he pitches the story, the presentation, the language, every word was nectar to me. I enjoyed and it's all about how he presents it. Right. It's a story about vampires, and he creates a world around it, and beautifully done. So I read books so that I'm able to get a perspective of how to present, to get a perspective of language. Right? If I am able to enjoy the book, it means that is the presentation is something that I would love to absorb, not adapt or adopt, but absorb, so that at least it reflects in something that I write. So I read for that, of course, to enjoy the book first of all. So unless you enjoy the book, you won't be able to absorb at all. So that's the kind of reading that I do.
Anything that surprised you during this entire research phase, or wherever you ran into trouble, perhaps anything that surprised you? Because you have written so many books now, I'm sure that not many things surprise you about, say, narratives or perhaps concepts. Because this was a complicated book to write. Not that the other ones were also complicated to research it, to that, but especially this one, because it's dealing with a lot.
What surprised me, I don't know if it is metaphysical or whether it is luck or whether it is, I don't know what it is, but what surprised me was that whenever I wanted information, whenever I had a doubt, whenever I felt that the story was not moving in the direction in which I wanted it to move, solutions presented themselves. Okay. Now I can't say that they are groundbreaking solutions, etc. and so forth. I can't say that, but these small little tweaks in the thought that came about, which gave me a path, which gave me sometimes a bypass, sometimes a run through in terms of how I wanted to take the story forward. Right? Like every author, I also feel that I could have done things a little different in some parts. But I think that is a never-ending quest for most authors.
Happy.
But a lot of things actually, kind of fell into place. And this happened twice with me. One in Vimana transcripts, and one in the Gudem Experiment. That they kind of fell into the slot. They solved the puzzle by themselves, and it helped me to move forward. And it was a breathtaking. Thank you to whoever is through me writing this book. And that was very reassuring.
I decided I won't be talking about the publishing process in this podcast. I stay away from this question. But you know what has happened? Something which we talked about yesterday as well in the talk session. That you have gone on and done a self-published book after so many years of traditionally published. So this is an anomaly. Like you, even in the book, I think you mentioned that there are anomalies, right? So, this is an anomaly in the system of things. And tell us a bit about what kind of feedback you are getting from the US as well.
So, I am traditionally published 6 times, which means that I didn't have to pay for my publishing.
Right.
But all the books that I published are basically India based. They may be available in Amazon.com in the US, but they're India based.
Right.
To be very honest, publishing can improve a lot in this country. And I felt very tied down, restricted, bogged down by the way in which the publishing industry functions in this country. I have seen that, across the world you have rejections. Across the world you have acceptance. But across the world where your work is accepted, the publisher takes a risk by accepting the work. Right? Indian publishers want to be risk averse. Okay? So they put the entire burden on the poor author. Okay. And if the poor author is poor, then it becomes very difficult for him to take his book to the market and sell it in the kind of competition that India has it. Right. There are, I think, more authors than readers. Yeah. So I felt that, and the second thing I felt about thing is that more than Indian public loves reading, but the genres in which I write has a much more wider or universal application.
Absolutely. No doubt about it.
Which I felt was something that I could achieve through Amazon KDP publishing. I have this theory again that Indian authors aren't really competing with themselves, between themselves, right? Indian authors are competing with international authors, right? Now, international authors, by their nature, are international because they are good, they are well written, they are well researched, right? And they are well presented. There are two different things, writing it and presenting it. But Indian authors, I don't know how much of a match they can be to an international author if you compare book to book in terms of how you can compete with. Even in India. Yes. Right? Who are we competing with? We are competing with Lee Child. We are competing with we are competing with the J. Christoph. We are competing with people who have achieved a certain level of fame, a certain level of popularity, certain level. Lee Child book sells 1 in every 9 seconds. Yeah. Now, see, how can you compare? Can you even compete with that if your craft is not good? One. Right. And two, if your publisher is not backing. Lee Child's publishers backed them. Right? Forget about the 6-figure checks that they get at the beginning of a deal. Forget about that. At least in the marketing bit, at least in pushing your book out, at least supporting authors in doing that. Otherwise, don't take the book. Don't get him published. Right. Being risk averse means I am running to I am playing to your game plan. Right. I am the author and you are the publisher, and I am playing to your game plan, to your books of accounts, to your balance sheet. And my balance sheet is gone completely unbalanced. That's not fair on an author. Okay. Right? And that's something that Indian authors still don't realize. They run after publishers, they run after people who can get them deals, which are really not helping them at all in their careers, and they are pushing their passion. What happens? They get completely demoralized. So I decided that, listen, hey, enough of this nonsense. Right. I'm going to do KDP publishing. I'm going to sharpen the way I write and the way I present. And I am going to a market which is also where there is a lot more fantasy readers or science fantasy readers than there are in other geographies. So I went with US. June 5th, today we are July 5th, exactly 1 month. We're getting time. So I've had about from the time the book started, through all the promotions and etc. and so forth, I've had about 16 reviews already in this 1 month, which is, I think, apparently good for an indie author of unknown origin. Yeah, to the US.
Especially in the US. Yeah, that is quite me.
All of them are not less than 4 and 5 stars.
Wonderful.
So I stand ratified.
Yeah.
Right? That there is appreciation for my kind of a book in the US market. That answers your question.
Yeah. Can you mention the detailing that they go to in terms of the review? Anything that stood out? Positive or negative? Anything?
The one thing they said, so it's all 4 and 5, so I can't be too negative. So the one thing that most of them said is it's original.
Okay.
And there's nothing like this on the shelf.
That's a lot, because there are loads of fantasy books out there in the US market.
Like I said, it follows a certain pattern. This is a pattern that they don't.
Absolutely. Who would think of this in their right mind?
Thanks. So it's something, and that's consistently across all these reviews that are coming. They talk a lot about Sheila and her journey. One of them gave the heading, the Shifting Realities, One Indomitable Mother. Unbreakable Mother. That's the heading of the thing that she's given. One review. And they are saying it's original. It's original. That's the one thing that they're saying is completely different from anything you find anywhere else.
Yeah.
And I think that is a positive, a huge positive for the Gudem Experiment.
It's amazing. I'm looking forward to perhaps a community being created on Fable, where people are discussing, all these realities. I would love to join that. Why not? Let's make that happen, guys. So, because, perhaps the author can come in. You know what? Next, later this year, when our app, launches, we are launching an app.
Oh, wow.
And it's worldwide. So I'm hoping that such communities, although Fable is already there, but we're trying to make it more sort of, engaging and author friendly, especially, because a lot of work, like you said, all the problems that you have, it's a learning for me as well, because we need to solve all these problems.
Absolutely.
Through tech as well. So I'm just noting down everything, trying to solve everything, especially the economics. The economics.
See, it matters. So I write because I love the craft, right? But doesn't mean that I'm giving away things for without any understanding of what I may get in return if people were diligent, if people were open, people were transparent, and that is very important. And if you are being published, it means that you have somebody standing behind you. But if you have to bring the marketing machinery along with you when you are getting traditionally published, then what is the point of getting traditionally published?
That doesn't make any sense at all.
So then ultimately it becomes vanity publishing. It becomes paid publishing, right? And if you are going to couch your so-called paid publishing as a so-called traditional publishing, you're not being honest with your authors.
Absolutely.
Don't take it. Don't do it. If you think this guy's book is going to make it, then do it. Take that risk. Otherwise, you can't be risk averse and you can't have a bloody business plan and help at the cost of the author. That's unfair. Okay.
My final question. My final question was earlier.
Go ahead.
But the last one, when you go to work and you're a lawyer, right?
I work for one of the big four. I am a partner of one of the big four.
Yeah. Okay.
Executive director.
Yeah, of course. When you're working in the other construct.
Construct, yes.
So, do they kind of mingle sometimes? Has somebody noticed something odd in you? Sometimes I'm pointing it out.
Like odd thing is that
you go to work, but you have written all night of something, and then you utter something that is crazy to someone else. Has that happened?
So what happens is that I am what is known as I practice what is known as regulatory compliance. Okay. Global regulatory compliance. Right. I started that as a practice in India in 2000.
Acha. Okay.
Today it's a $64 billion industry. Yeah. I'm not saying that I created the $64 billion, but I brought that business to India in 2000, right? So now it's way beyond me. I mean, I am nobody. The business is, the service has gone beyond, and the big fours have taken up to a different level altogether. Okay. And I have become a cog in that machinery. Right? So I am a kind of an authority in regulatory compliance globally. Okay. Right? And so therefore for most, I am handling regulatory compliance projects in close to 140 countries sitting in India.
Wow.
I have a team of 300 people. I mean, there are others also in this, other partners, etc. and so forth. So we are a set of 300 people. So when I say I do it, I don't do it, my team does it.
Right.
I am now more of a lighthouse.
For it.
Right. So where some people need to be convinced about a particular project and about our capabilities, they'll take me to that project, make me sit down and introduce myself, and then keep quiet. The moment the introduction goes out, these guys know that this fellow has got so much of experience, so we are in safe hands. So that's the level at which I am.
Okay.
One and two, that doesn't mean I don't have work to do. I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot of selling to do. Right? It is a grind because I have to write. If I don't write, I think my head will burst.
Then
I didn't write for a number of years, and which is why my hair fell off, I think. And and secondly, I'll have to go out and talk to a lot of very, very serious multinational, extremely geographically spread out entities in terms of their regulatory risk.
Right.
So these are the two things that I do. Both of them are related to chaos, where we are trying to bring in order, and I enjoy both.
Okay. So you're
So one gives me relief from the other.
Oh, got it. So there are two separate compartments, and you kind of.
So at the workplace, I'm known as Sai. My name is Sai Chandra Vadhan.
Okay.
At the workplace, I'm known as Sai.
okay.
As an author, I'm known as Vadhan.
Got it.
Two different things, two different worlds, two realities. And maybe very subconsciously, that's how I got the idea for the Gudem Experiment. So,
But you are living two lives. It's amazing.
yeah, if you see my latest TEDx, which came last month, I spoke in the DPS, Delhi Public School, Hyderabad, where I was talking about AI. And I was explaining in the context of AI that I lead two separate lives. And I was saying exactly the same thing there. I said in one life, everything is predictable, measurable, and redoable.
Right.
Right? In the other life, everything is driven by passion. AI can do everything that I can do in one life, which is redoable, measurable, predictable, repeatable. That the AI can do. But AI doesn't have passion. So therefore, the only thing the AI can do is amplify my passion. So I said, you are not going to get redundant because of AI. You have to use AI to grow.
Yeah. Awesome. Watch the TEDx, guys. We leave the link also in the caption. And, it's always great to know your author better. No harm in it. And it makes things more interesting. Okay, the Gudem Experiment, guys, it's already out. The paperback is also coming in India. I'm glad to know that.
Yes.
In the US, they already have it.
Yeah, I already have it.
So if you are in the US and you follow us, just go and buy the book.
And I just bought my author copies. I have author copies from Amazon. It's just beautifully done.
Oh, wonderful.
Beautifully done.
You're doing hardcovers as well, or just paperbacks?
Just beautifully done.
Just paper. Okay. Perhaps if the book does well and hardcover to come, just my personal.
Absolutely.
I waited for a month to buy Project Hail Mary hardcover special edition. So I am just a collector. So I would love to collect that copy. But thank you so much for talking to us for that. It is a lot of fun. And if you read the book twice, thrice, I would recommend reading the book twice to completely understand it. The first time you can just have fun. And the second time around, go into the layers, understand more. If you are a nerd like me, you will go on and learn more about, the science behind it. And of course, if you are a bigger nerd, you will go into the Vedas as well and kind of, create this entire canvas and read for a month and, learn a lot. Lot to learn. Fun to hate. Fun to. It is.
Again, like I said at the beginning, I write to entertain. So if you want to get entertained, you can get entertained with this book. But if you want to dig in a little deeper, it will open up worlds of possibilities for you guys. That's all.
Absolutely. And leave that Amazon review. It helps the author. And if you want to interact, I think you have a Goodreads page. So Goodreads page maybe.
Yes.
They can interact. And if you want to ask any questions, can you say out your email if you want to?
Yeah, sure. Of course. Author Vadhan. Author Vadhan Vadhan @gmail.com.
Okay. We put it down here as well. So you can ask him any questions about his latest book or the previous ones if you have read him before as well. Or you can go
subscribe, and you can also subscribe to my Author Vadhan website, and you will get a lot of insights in terms of my books I'm going to come out with, and my research notes, etc., and so forth, which we can have fun with that. I've created worlds in other books, and those worlds and how I created them, along with the images, are also there, which you get. Have fun.
Yes, yes. Super interesting. And yeah, do subscribe to Author Vadhan at authorvadhan.com.
Authorvadhan.com.
Yeah. And yeah,
Vadhan.com as yet.
authorvadhan.com. So go there.
Authorvadhan.com is the website.
We'll put everything here, so it will pop up as well and in the caption. Cool. Thank you so much for having this conversation. And looking forward to so much more from you, because you have said that the Gudem Experiment is just start.
I'm looking at least. I'm already on the second one.
Yeah.
And at one point, even the race reality will come out.
Yeah.
So I'm working on it, and yeah, I'm having fun writing, and I hope you guys have as much fun reading as I'm having fun writing it. And Rohan, thank you so much for this wonderful podcast and for this really, really interesting conversation. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. I would think I'm also looking back, like you said, when you have written, you feel that, oh, this could have been changed. I'm also feeling like that. I could have asked different questions as well. But perhaps, it's another podcast. Sure. But loved this conversation. It was super interesting and yeah, intriguing. Super intriguing as well. I'm a bit worried about you. What all you are reading. And how much work you are doing. So I'm a bit worried about
you. So I believe that that saying that you have to need 8 hours of sleep in a day is a myth. I do with around 4.5 to 5 hours of sleep.
Okay.
It's more than enough to recharge the brain. And there's this, I think, Bon Jovi song, I'll sleep when I die, or something like that. So yeah, one life, man. Let's enjoy it to the maximum, but let's do something constructive with it, and have fun doing it.
And that's why you're doing it. Thank you so much for this wonderful book.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the bye-bye. Take care.